Hello and welcome to Pock and Rob. This video is part of my occasional revisited series. I'm going back and taking my top 15 albums of the 1960s and turning it into a top 50. This has taken me quite a while to compile. I have been expanding my horizons and listening to quite a lot of stuff that I wasn't aware of before when I did my top 15. Before I go in, I'm going to remind you to subscribe if you've not already done so, to click the thumbs up to like the video, the bell for notifications of future content, and also click share to share this with someone else who might like it. And let's dive in at number 50 with 1969's Led Zeppelin, the debut album. I did my Led Zeppelin ranking recently and this did not come particularly highly. There's many tracks I like on it, like Black Mountainside, Communication Breakdown, Dazed and Confused, Babe I'm Gonna Leave You. But as an album, it hasn't yet fully clicked with me. This is the first time I've owned it on vinyl, and owning stuff on vinyl often changes your relationship with the music, and so I'm hoping that'll be the case for Led Zeppelin 1, but at the moment it's number 50. And number 49 is a band I barely listened to, but I was aware of one particular track which will be mentioned in this album, and it's Green River by Creedence Clearwater Revival. I hadn't listened to much of their stuff at all, like I said. This album contains Green River, the title track. Night Time is the right time. But what gets it in is Bad Moon Rising, a number one hit single in the UK, and I think it's a wonderful song. I really, really like Bad Moon Rising. Green River at number 49. At number 48, I've been a long time admirer of their songs and was pretty much unaware of their actual albums, but at number 48, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn and Jones Limited by the Monkees. So this is an album that's got Pleasant Valley Sunday on it. Great song. And Words, another great song. And it's got a great Mike Nesmith song in What Am I Doing Hanging Round. And then it's got silly little things that are very, very 60s, like Peter Percival Patterson's Pet Pig Porky, written by Peter Tork, and it's just basically a tongue twister, but it's those little bits in there that make it quite a fun album. Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn and Jones Limited is my number 48. At number 47, I have placed my least favourite full studio album by this band. Now you know, if you've watched my videos, that I'm a Beatle fan, so be prepared for fully 20% of this list to be Beatles. But right down at the bottom of my list from the 60s is Beatles for Sale. Which is not to say it's bad. It absolutely is not a bad album. It wouldn't be in my list if it was, but it's their weakest. However, I'll Follow the Sun, No Reply, Babies in Black, I'm a Loser, and 8 Days a Week, Kansas City, Hey 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 Hey, Rock and Roll Music, a great side A, Mr. Moonlight accepted, and a weak side B, but it's still got so much great music on it that it makes it into my list at number 47. Number 46, I placed an album that has got to be the US version. It's Are You Experienced by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. So the album, the US version, kicks off with Purple Haze, which is phenomenal and is, in my opinion, the right way to kick the album off. It adds The Wind Cries Mary and Hey Joe, and moves Foxy Lady from opening the album to Later On, and still contains the best stuff from the UK version, and then removes the stuff that personally I don't really enjoy that much. So the US version of Are You Experienced is the one that I put in this list. It's at number 46. Number 45 is the Monkees again with Headquarters. So this is the album that they took full creative control over in 1967. They play almost everything on it. There are some session musicians, but they are used sparingly, whereas the Monkees themselves played and sang on this album. It contains For Pete's Sake, which became the end theme of the second series of their TV show. Alternate Title, which was also known as Randy Scouse Git in America. That was a number 2 hit, and that was written by Mickey Dolenz. We've got Michael Nesmith songs on here, and probably the best thing on the album, which actually is the one that contains the most session musicians, they sang it and didn't play it, which is Shades of Grey, which is gorgeous. Headquarters is a great Monkees album, and I'd like to thank the Parlogram Auctions channel for turning me on to the Monkees albums. I mean, I've had a best of Monkees for years, and I've known so many songs, but not the albums. Monkey's Headquarters, my number 45. Number 44 is, I think, might be the oldest album on this list. It came out in 1960. My mum had a copy of it for years, so I've known it for a long time. It's Elvis Presley's GI Blues. GI Blues is the soundtrack to the film of the same name. Blue Suede Shoes is on it, which basically means it's a retread because he'd done it way back in the 50s. But we've got Wooden Heart and Did You Ever and Competition GI Blues. It's a really good Elvis album that happens to be a soundtrack in his film era, and arguably for me the last good Elvis album. GI Blues at number 44. At number 43, Johnny Cash's first appearance on this list with Live at Folsom Prison. Many people rate this higher than San Quentin. Spoilers, I don't. Obviously it contains the definitive version of Folsom Prison Blues, because if you're going to sing a song like Folsom Prison Blues in Folsom Prison, you're never going to beat it. Great stuff on there like Flush from the Bathroom of Your Heart and The Dirty Old Egg Sucking Dog. There's quite a lot of humour on this record. It's a really good live record. My number 43, Live at Folsom Prison by Johnny Cash. At number 42 is Dusty Springfield with Dusty in Memphis. So first off, Elephant in the Room, Son of a Preacher Man. An absolutely perfect song. But this also contains Bed and Breakfast, which is absolutely gorgeous. Really good song that not even UB40 could damage. And then probably the best and most definitive version of Windmills of Your Mind. Dusty in Memphis at number 42. At number 41, The Songs of Leonard Cohen by Leonard Cohen. Came out in 1967, and on this album you've got Suzanne and Master Song and Sisters of Mercy, which is really good. So Long Marianne. It's a really good songwriter's album, The Songs of Leonard Cohen. It's my number 41. And number 40 is an album that was not on this list until a couple of weeks ago, and that's not because I didn't know it and hadn't listened to it, but I made a mistake in my most recent listening. It is Piper at the Gates of Dawn by Pink Floyd. So this is from 1967. It's their debut record. It's their only album where the creative control was Syd Barrett's. And I put on side 2 before listening to side 1. And it kind of solved the album, because I've always kind of been left with a weird taste when I listen to Piper at the Gates of Dawn when it finishes with Bike, which is fun, but not really an album ending song. However, when it closes side 1, in the way that I played it, it makes more sense, and the whole album makes so much more sense when you play side 2 before side 1. Which means that Interstellar Overdrive opens if you play it that way. Astronomy Domini is on here, so is The Gnome, and we've got Pow R Tok H, an absolutely great song written by the 4 members of the band at the time, Matilda Mother, and listening to side 2 before side 1 made this album work for me in a way that it hadn't before. Pipe at the Gates of Dawn suddenly found its way to number 40. And number 39 is the sole entry on this album by the Rolling Stones. Now, I did a ranking of 15 artists that I just don't get or don't like, and I said I wasn't including the Rolling Stones because they had so many great tracks. Well, actually, they also have one album that I think is worth owning. I don't yet, and it's Let It Bleed from 1969. This contains Monkey Man, You Got the Silver, Midnight Rambler. It's got Country Honk on it, which is kind of a little bit pointless. You Can't Always Get What You Want, which is great, and Gimme Shelter. And it's those 2 tracks in particular that bookend the record that make Let It Bleed a really good album. But there is good stuff in there. I've always had a bit of an issue with Mick Jagger's voice, but on Let It Bleed, I can let it slide. I put it at number 39. And number 38, the great rivals of the Stones, and the fact that I put their debut above it shows that there's absolutely no competition. Please Please Me by the Beatles. It is not hyperbole to say that this album changed music forever. It opens with I Saw Her Standing There, that 1, 2, 3, 4, and nothing was the same ever again. 6 cover versions on here, things like Chains and Anna, Go to Him and Boys and Taste of Honey, Baby It's You, and they're all really good. But the originals show a force to be reckoned with. Even stuff that is lesser Beatles songs like There's a Place and Misery and Ask Me Why and P.S. I Love You. When you then throw in Love Me Do and Do You Want to Know a Secret and then Please Please Me, you have the makings of one of the best debuts ever. Change music. Please Please Me at number 38. At number 39 from 1967, The Who Sell Out. This has got Armenia City in the Sky that opens the record, and we then go into stuff like Baked Beans and the jingles for Radio London. We've got Mary Ann with the Shaky Hand, absolutely fantastic. Oda Rono, terrific song. Rail 1 and towards the end of the record. And in the middle, I Can See for Miles, which was the hit single. Who Sell Out at number 37. At number 36, Nashville Skyline by Bob Dylan. Bob's shortest album, I believe it only just nudges the 30-minute mark. Lay Lady Lay, a re-recording of Girl from the North Country with Johnny Cash. Tonight I'll Be Staying With You. And from my knowledge, I think Bob's only instrumental, Nashville Rag. There's a lot to like on this album. Nashville Skyline at number 36. At number 35 is the first album on here that is jazz. It is Dave Brubeck's Time Further Out. Now, my version is a twofer. This is the album cover of Time Further Out. As a jazz album, and with loads of unusual time signatures, I really enjoy listening to this record. So we have Unsquare Dance on it, and it's a raggy waltz, and Far More Blue. And whilst I wouldn't say that I can hum most of it, I can enjoy the entire album when it's on. And there's a lot of jazz albums that I can't do that with. So Time Further Out at number 35. At number 34, I have placed another jazz album. This time it's Ella Fitzgerald's Harold Arlen Songbook. So Harold Arlen was the person that wrote the music for The Wizard of Oz. So on here you have got Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which she didn't want to sing because she considered it to be Judy Garland's song. But Ding Dong the Witch is Dead. He also wrote stuff like Accentuate the Positive and Get Happy and It's Only a Paper Moon, which is one of my favourite jazz songs. This is a really good album. And what's more, it's an Ella Fitzgerald album, so the vocals on it, you already know, are absolutely fantastic and perfect, in fact. One of the best vocalists of all time and a great songwriter, produce a great album. Ella Fitzgerald sings the Harold Arlen Songbook is my number 34. At number 33, I have placed the band's debut album, Music from Big Pink. It contains Tears of Rage and To Kingdom Come, The Wait, Long Black Veil, Lonesome Blues, I Shall Be Released, a Dylan song, and then my favourite track on the whole thing, which is this Wheels on Fire. That was a co-write between Bob Dylan and Rick Danko. Music from Big Pink, my number 33. At number 32, sticking with the exact same era, Bob Dylan's John Wesley Harding. So this is the album that he recorded and released after doing all of that basement tape stuff with the band. So we have the title track, John Wesley Harding, the ballad of Frankie Lee and Judas Priest, I'll Be Your Baby Tonight, All Along the Watchtower, obviously most famously done by Jimi Hendrix on the Electric Ladyland album, John Wesley Harding, my number 32. At number 31, I'm staying with Bob for his second album, The Freewheelin' Bob Dylan. So we have Blowin' in the Wind, Girl from the North Country, the original version. Masters of War is on here. A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall, Don't Think Twice, It's Alright, Bob Dylan's Dream. The Freewheelin' Bob Dylan from 1963 is my number 31. At number 30, Simon and Garfunkel's first entry on this list with Parsley, Sage, Rosemary and Thyme. So this record contains Patterns, Cloudy, Scarborough Fair Canticle, For Emily, Wherever I May Find Her, A Simple Desultory Philippic, or How I Was Robin McNamara into Submission, which is a Talking Blues, another one. And Silent Night, 7 o'clock news. 59th Bridge Street song, Feeling Groovy. And then probably the best thing on here, the lovely Flowers Never Bend with the Rainfall. Parsley, Sage, Rosemary and Thyme at number 30. At number 29 is a mystery to you. This is called The Fabulous Beach Boys. If you look closely, you'll see things like Sloop John B, Caroline No, God Only Knows, Wouldn't It Be Nice, and then the clincher, Pet Sounds. This is an Australian copy of Pet Sounds. Plus, it contains I Guess I Just Wasn't Made for These Times, which is absolutely lovely. I can say I do think it's somewhat overrated, but Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys, or in this case, the Fabulous Beach Boys, is my number 29. At number 28, we're back with Bob Dylan for another side of Bob Dylan from 1964. On here, we've got All I Really Want to Do and Chimes of Freedom, Motorcycle Nightmare, Ballad in Plain D, Bob Dylan's 115th Dream. It's got My Back Pages on it, and it closes with It Ain't Me, Babe. It's a really good album that I don't think gets enough credit in Bob Dylan's catalogue. Another side of Bob Dylan I have placed at number 28. At number 27, The Kinks, Face to Face, again from 1966. Party Lines on here, and that alone would be worth owning the album, but it's also got Sunny Afternoon, their final UK number 1 on it. Rainy Day in June, House in the Country, Most Exclusive Residence for Sale, Holiday in Waikiki. It's a really good album, Face to Face, from 1966. It's my number 27. At number 26, I have placed Cream's Disraeli Gears from 1967. So we have got Strange Brew kicking off the record. Then we've got Sunshine of Your Love and flip the record for things like Tales of Brave Ulysses. And then right at the end of the record, Mother's Lament, which is downright weird. Probably seemed like it was a good idea at the time. It's an album that I enjoy whenever it's on. I just don't happen to own a copy at the moment. Disraeli Gears at number 26. And number 25, and their last entry on this list, it's the Monkees with More of the Monkees. They hated the cover, but what's inside the wrapper is what really matters. And there we've got I'm Not Your Stepping Stone, which might well be a proto-punk record. Hold On Girl, She, a really great song. Aren't You Griselda, which was used, I think, at least twice in the TV series, and is actually quite a fun song. Look Out, Here Comes Tomorrow, the number 1 hit single, I'm a Believer, and Mary Mary. And More of the Monkees, I think, is their best record. From 1967, it's my number 25. And number 24, from 1969, Legion Leaf. This is the first album that was in my top 15 that is in this list. If you want to find out what I think about Legion Leaf, you go back and watch the top 15. I listened to it again just the other day and it reminded me just what a great album it is. But it slipped from its position at number 12 to 24. Number 23, Sounds of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel. There is the band version of Sounds of Silence. Kathy's song Leaves That Are Green is on here. Richard Cory, which I first knew as a result of Wings Over America. Gosh, that's a dark song. Followed up by another dark song, which is A Most Peculiar Man. I'm a Rock is on here. Homeward Bound and April Come She Will. It's a really, really great selection of songs. Sounds of Silence, a massive step up from Wednesday Morning 3am, their debut record, even though it also contains Sounds of Silence. It's my number 23. Number 22, part of me almost didn't include this on this list at all because this was a US album. But I've included the US version of Are You Experienced, and so I kind of have to be fair and include Magical Mystery Tour by the Beatles. It is now officially part of their album canon since it was standardised in 87. So side 1 is the Magical Mystery Tour EP, and then side 2 is all the 1967 stuff that was on singles and B-sides, like Hello Goodbye, brilliant song, Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields Forever, which are just magical. Magical Mystery Tour, my number 22. And number 21, With the Beatles, from 1963, their second album. This, I've watched quite a few videos recently on other YouTube channels. I think this is so maligned, and yet I think it is their best covers heavy album. It won't be long. All I got to do, and All My Loving, kick the record off to a brilliant start. I like George's Don't Bother Me. I love the cover version of Till There Was You and Please Mr. Postman. I like Hold Me Tight. I Want to Be Your Man, Ringo's song on here is great. We've got Roll Over Beethoven. We've got Money closing the record. We've got the cover version of You Really Got a Hold on Me. And I think with the Beatles, it is genuinely better as a listening experience than Please Please Me. I've placed it at number 21. Into my top 20 now, and the vast majority of these were in my top 15, so I'm going to whiz past them, go back and watch the top 15 for more information. Number 20, Bookends by Simon & Garfunkel. And number 19 is one of the reasons for doing this video, because I didn't know this album until a year or so ago. Odyssey and Oracle by the Zombies. And what a wonderful album. Came out in 1968. It was a total and utter flop. My entry point is the song This Will Be Our Year that I heard done by Beautiful South. The original by the Zombies is far superior. Colin Blunstone has an absolutely beautiful voice. But I really like Changes. I think the vocals on that are absolutely phenomenal. Time of the Season is a great song. Birchwood Park and Brief Candles. It's Zombies, Odyssey and Oracle at number 19. At number 18, I do own a vinyl copy, but it's the US version of A Hard Day's Night. The Beatles' third album and the first and sole album solely written by Lennon and McCartney. First of all, we've got the songs from the film. Hard Day's Night, Can't Buy Me Love, If I Fell, And I Love Her, I'm Happy Just to Dance With You, Tell Me Why. And then we've got the other tracks on the second half of the album, things like Things We Said Today, which is one of my all-time favourite Beatles songs. I'll Cry Instead, You Can't Do That, I'll Be Back. A bit of a downbeat note on which to end the album, but 13 Beatlemania pop classics on A Hard Day's Night, my number 18. At number 17, Blonde on Blonde, originally number 14 on my previous list. At number 16, Orange Blossom Special, originally number 15 on the list. I've already mentioned the song It Ain't Me Babe. Johnny Cash's version on here puts a real vehemence on that song. Orange Blossom Special, number 16. Number 15, also in my top 15 last time round, Arthur by the Kinks. At number 14, Bob Dylan's Bringing It All Back Home from 1965. So this album is where Dylan goes electric. It opens with Subterranean Homesick Blues, She Belongs to Me, Maggie's Farm, Love Minus Zero, No Limit. But on the flip side, Bob's Days acoustic. And so Mr. Tambourine Man, Gates of Eden, It's All Right Ma, I'm Only Bleeding, and It's All Over Now Baby Blue. Absolutely fantastic album from 1965. At number 13, there's bits of this album I detest, but there's 3/4 of it that is peerless. The White Album. You have to include an album that has got Blackbird and I'm So Tired and Back in the USSR and Dear Prudence and Glass Onion. I could go on. There's 30 tracks on this album, and like I say, about 1/4 of them I could live without. Revolution 9, Year Blues, I'm looking at you in particular. But it's the White Album. It's my number 13. At number 12, 1967's Something Else by the Kinks. At this point, the Kinks albums were not charting like they used to. This opens with David Watts. It's got Dave Davies's best two compositions, which are Susanna Still Alive and Death of a Clown. Dandy, which is about Dave Davies, apparently. Two Sisters, Harry Ragg, and Waterloo Sunset. And this album deserves to be better known. Something Else by the Kinks, number 12. Number 11, originally number 11 on my previous list, exactly the same spot, San Quentin by Johnny Cash, his best live album, and actually I would say the best live album ever. Into my top 10, and at number 10, Led Zeppelin 2. I've said before I don't care for the Lemon Song, but I do like everything else, like Whole Lot of Love and What Is and Never Should Be. I love Moby Dick, which most people have a go at because it's mostly drum solo. Heartbreaker, Ramble On, and Bring It On Home. Led Zeppelin 2, my number 10. Number 9 on my original list, My Fair Lady soundtrack. At number 8, Help. And number 7 was number 3 on my list, which I remember saying at the time, it rather surprised me. The Band, their second album from 1969. At number 6, Highway 61 Revisited. Number 5, staying in exactly the same position, We Are the Village Green Preservation Society by the Kinks. And then the last 4 spots are filled by the Beatles, all of which were in my top 10. I have to admit, Sgt. Pepper at number 7 last time round was too low. It's actually my 4th best album of the 60s. Rubber Soul was at number 6. It's my 3rd best album of the 60s. And then at number 2, as it was last time, Revolver. At number 1, Abbey Road. So that concludes my expansion of my top 15 albums of the 60s to top 50. Please leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. Leave a thumbs up if you liked it. Remember to subscribe, click the bell, share the video. I'll be back soon with another video. Until then, thanks for watching.